So, I'm doing part 2 of what I'm calling Dementia dumping, and I'm sorry I have the TV on in the background. So anyway, I saw my mom just about a month ago, right after my birthday. I think I did a birthday video where I said I'm packing for a road trip, and I might have sounded like I was being facetious, but we really were doing a road trip. And part of it was to head east to go see my mom because she's in the south, and then to head north to check on the 2 properties that are up north that a family owns. We have 2 properties up north and 2 properties down south, and they're rented, and the rental income plus my mother's income pays for her being, in a private assisted living. That's kind of nice, actually. So anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So her condition for the last year or 2 has been that she's legally blind because she has macular degeneration. So she's like partially sighted. It's not like, she's totally in darkness and whatever. And she has a walker and a wheelchair. And during the virus, she was using the walker a lot less and sitting in the wheelchair a lot because they were keeping them sort of on lockdown. So anyway, like she was pretty much the same, where she slowed down, but she's not stupid. And she just can't do what she used to do, and a little confused, but actually not bad at all. Some word finding difficulties, but she knows what's going on. And a little sensitive, a little emotional. But I mean, considering, her condition, that might not even be dementia. It just might be like, I don't like a wheelchair and a walker, and I don't like being partially sighted. So anyway, we had a visit with her. I didn't record or show anything on the internet because of privacy, and I don't want to exploit my mom that way. And I saw my sister, and we headed north. And I had to check the properties to see, what needed to be done in the next 2 years. Like, we have a 2-year plan. And so I made sure to get a plumber. We took care of a plumbing issue in one of the properties. And the other property needs some windows replaced. And one of the windows is a custom order. And so that's going to take a while. So I went back south, and I'm going to be headed up again, maybe a little sooner than I had originally planned, to see my mom again, and then go back to the properties. And I'm going to be there for the window install for the other property. But everything is good. And then, we have plans for, what to do with the properties for next year. So, anyway, that's the story. But what happened was, I guess she had, a stomach bug or maybe mild food poisoning. We don't really know. And so she wasn't really eating for a couple of days. And my mother is a good eater. And so last week, Thursday, my sister just stopped in because she doesn't live too far from the assisted living, and the staff said, we really think she needs to go to the ER. And my sister was like, well, she doesn't seem that bad, she just seems a little, and they were like, no, she needs to go to the ER. And we told her, and she got upset and didn't want to go. So my sister said, well, if you think she needs to go, and they called an ambulance, and they told her to go and just, meet them at the ER, right? So she went into the ER, and they ended up admitting her. So we thought it was just going to be overnight, and they were just checking her out to make sure that there wasn't anything more serious. And my mother didn't want to be there. She was like, oh, all my stuff is back at, the assisted living. Because she has a private room. It's like a studio apartment almost, with like an efficiency kitchen. And she's like, I don't like it here. Why can't I go back? And, like, I spoke to her on the phone while my sister was there. And, we said, like, look, it's just probably going to be one, maybe 2 nights. You're not going to stay here permanently. It's just a hospital. They just have to check you out, blah, 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 right? So anyway, my sister leaves. I talked to her on the phone and she leaves. And apparently, we found this out after the fact. My mother, like, started to cry. I don't want to be here, like, carrying on like that. And they had to give her a sedative, and I don't blame them. Um, she had a bad reaction to the sedative, and some sedatives can actually cause you to hallucinate. So the next morning, my sister goes there thinking, oh, well, maybe they're going to discharge her and, she'll be going back to the assisted living. Well, when she went in, my mother was talking like she was like on an acid trip and telling her like all these crazy things. And at the time, my sister didn't know that they had given her a sedative. And so she was like, I've never heard her like this. She's saying all these things. I think she's hallucinating, blah, 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 blah. And they ended up keeping her. She's still there. And they're recommending that she go to rehab for as long as like Medicare will pay for it, to help her with her mobility so she's less dependent on the wheelchair and more dependent on the walker. But my sister got really freaked out from the mental stuff. But apparently, I guess the next night, they gave her a different type of sedative that she didn't have like a bad reaction to. And now she's, a lot more coherent. But she was having like post-traumatic stress disorder because as a very young child, she was in Nazi-occupied France. And they had, I think they called them air raids. Like she was in an area where they would see things getting bombed. And actually one of her little friends, when she was young, used to like to watch the bombing in, when they were doing it and got killed by a piece of shrapnel. So she had a very traumatic childhood. And one of the things she was saying when she was in her her crazy state from the meds was about open the door, I can't breathe, I want fresh air. Because when they had the air raids, she was like in a farm, but like there were air raids. They would go into like a cellar, I think it was like a root cellar, and they would probably have to stay there a long time. And like you're like kind of locked up, so you feel like you're confined. And she doesn't like, she always wants to be like by a door or a window, and she likes fresh air and windows and doors open. And it's probably a reaction from her childhood. So I think that like what was going on just brought back that post-traumatic stress disorder. And it just flipped my sister out because she hadn't ever seen my mother like go that flipped out. I saw her that way a year after 9/11. She had 9/11 cancer. I went to the hospital with her when she had her surgery, and I saw her in that state for about 5 minutes with the anesthesia, and then she was fine afterwards. And as far as I know, it hasn't happened since then. So anyway, it wasn't so much dementia, but more like a reaction from the sedative. And I think her going into rehab, as long as her insurance will pay for it, is a really good idea. Because if she gets some of her mobility back, it's going to be better for her, because she's vegging out a little too much. She's 89, but she can still, she has a lot of different things wrong with her, but nothing is really killing her. It's like just a plethora of different body parts that have problems. But overall, her vitals are good. So, anyway, I was getting upset and I thought that this was it. And I was ordering all this Pioneer Woman stuff, and I showed pictures, and I have more stuff on order. Lord have mercy. And there was even Amazon.com. And, thank God I have the money to pay for it. But after this, I have to take a break. I haven't been buying clothing lately, so, normally I don't spend crazy like that, but I guess it was better than going off the deep end. Anyway, if anyone listened to this, and you have an elderly person in your life, or you yourself are elderly, I hope in some way it helps you. And if not, sorry. All right, everyone, take care. Bye.